we're slowly but surely coming up through the water column now. So although this is traditionally it would be a dry fly, but I fish this wet and I tie it slightly different. When I say wet, I want it kind of no more than a centimetre or two under the surface. So it's quite a light hook I'm using. I'm using a Hanak 130 barbless hook. It's a dry fly hook and it's at size 10. Now, oh, that's a disaster. It takes ages to thread this. The lesson. So I've waxed this thread. No need for super glue with the uni threads. I'm going to start a millimetre or so back from the eye, and I'm going to get a bed of thread all the way down to where the barb would be on a hook. Now, I'm going to use some of this Viva stuff. John was asking earlier, is there a difference between the materials? And there is, but you might find it quite difficult to see on the camera. I'll pass both spools. Once I've cut this a bit off, I'll pass them round and you can see if you think there's much odds.
What do you think, Will?
Slightly, they're very slightly different. But I wouldn't get all wrapped up about the differences. Catch that in. Now, for this one, I'm using some seals fur. Now, getting seals fur nowadays actually is a real pain. Getting good quality, well-dyed seals fur is hard work. So, if you're ever stuck and you can't get decent quality seals fur, a trick is to use African goat. Very similar stuff. I think I've brought some for you to have a look at.
We get a lot of them around here.
Well, a damn sight more than seals. In fact, there it is there. Yeah, very similar sort of stuff. So that's African goat.
Yeah. Pauline in the Grapham shop said a while back a crowd of Belgians turned up there and bought all the seals fur she had because they can't buy it in Belgium anymore.
Yeah. That's why we've not got any salmon. We're not bludgeoning them to death. Okay, I've just added a little bit of wax to the thread. I find with seals fur, it can be a real bugger to dub on. But if you add a little bit of wax, it just helps. Now, the reason I was so adamant I had to get the red thread on is because once the fly is tied, that red, however minute it is, the colour will bleed through, which makes a difference. I'm going to catch that in. Got a little bit too much. Let's remove that a couple of times. Then I'm going to bring up this rib. Now, I think John's passing it round at the moment. It's pretty tough, but you can imagine once you've caught a few trout, their teeth are going to damage this. So what I like to do with this is just add some super glue to the inside of the mylar. Just makes it a little bit more robust. Now the first turn is going to come onto the shank. So I've got a little butt, if you like. And then I'm going to come up. Over the fly. And then finish up in the thorax area. A couple of turns in front. and I can remove my rib. Now, because I've used the super glue, I'll just give it a second. That'll just make the fly much more robust. Next then, I want to just rough out some of that seal's fur. So remember, we're not talking about a fly that's going to float like a cork on the surface yet. This is something that's going to just sit in the surface film. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is add the legs. Now, I don't know how much, many people fished in Wales. Well, on the reservoirs in Wales, there's a fly, it comes out around August time, and it's the black-bodied fly with red legs, and this works a treat. They'll come and take it dry, but fish just under the surface, this works really well. So I've got some of these, I used to tie all my own, tight as a duck's arse, but you know, as you get older, I find it really difficult to see to tie these sort of things anymore. So I just spend out the money. I think this come from a place in Ireland, Ban Flies, and they do all different sort of colours. They've got some lovely green ones as well. But what I want is six strands approximately, although when I'm tying them for myself I don't get too wrapped up in, you know, is it 6, is it 5? Trout don't count, you know, so it's not like you're going to be fooling anyone. So I've got them in two bushes there, and I'm going to take them off the stem. Now I want these to extend past the bend of the hook. I'm going to split them, and the first knots are coming to the butt end of the fly, if you like. I'm going to pull them underneath. Lift them up. A couple of turns in front. Now, when I'm tying anything in, I'll always give it a couple of turns in front of the material I've tied in. And the reason for that is it just stops the thread springing back. Sometimes, you know, especially, there's nothing worse with ribs, especially if you just hammered a rib, you brought your wire over, you forgot to get a couple of turns in front, you cut away your you cut away your wire, and then the thread eases off and the whole thing comes undone. It's not much fun. So that's looking pretty good. Now, if I wanted to fish this as an out-and-out dry fly, I would use this, a cock cape. Yeah, much stiffer hackling. I would use some of this, which is muslin. Treat it with muslin, and it will sit on the top of the water like a cork. But I don't want that with this fly, so I'm going to use a hen cape to get the hackling. It will still slow it down in its descent in the water, and it is a very light hook, but it won't keep it on the surface. Again, I'm just showing it up to the fly. I always just go with, yeah, that looks right, rather than any measurements or hackle. Sure Barry or Clark would shoot me if he seen me. I'm just going to add some wax before I catch that in. Now, because I'm using this uni thread, it is quite thick, and I'm conscious that I've still got to tie in my head. So I've got that ready to go. I'm going to grab my hackle plier. And I'm just going to use my fingers to agitate that out a bit. Now, with the hen cape, unlike the cock, you don't get a lot of feather. and often what I find I've got to do is tie in two. I've been very lucky on this occasion that I'm going to get away with one, but with these short feathers I often find I end up having to leave quite a bit of room so I can get another hackle in. So I've got a couple of turns in there. I'm going to sweep all that back and then work on my head. Now obviously a lot less turns need to go on to achieve a decent size head because of the thread difference. But what you can't get, and that's the thing with nano silks, they do black very well and they do white very well. The other colours you can get them, but they're not quite the same, I don't find. Only 3 turns for the work finish. I don't want to increase this any bigger than I've got it already. Can do that. And when I've been on Brennig or Clwedog, I've seen me fishing 3 of these just in different sizes. So we'd get them down to 14s, 12s, 10s, and they work a treat at a certain time of year.
What's it called, Lindsay?
It's a hopper, but it's just tied wet, so it's tied in a wet style.